Hello, here's the latest car I'm putting up for sale, and in the usual way I'm making a video of it. So for those of you who don't know, this is a Honda N-Box, second generation Honda N-Box, in one of my favourite colours for the N-Box, brilliant sporty blue metallic. We've got a bit of sun on this lovely autumn day today and it's showing the paint off really nicely. This is a 2020 Honda N-Box Custom GL Turbo Honda Sensing. I've featured a few of these on the channel now. The reason for saying that is I'm going on to talk about Honda Sensing. So I will try and point out some of the features of Honda Sensing as we go around. Basically, it's a suite of sort of electronic driver aids, both for safety and convenience, that Honda put on, well, the vast majority of this second generation N-Box, vast majority of them for sale in Japan have it. So I'll point out some of the features of it as we go round. This one was auction grade 4. I can think of more than one auction house where it would have easily been a 4.5, but where I bought it from, it was auction grade 4. It's covered 37,500 kilometers, so 24,600 miles. Fairly low mileage then, about 4,500 miles a year this one's covered. So this is a second generation N-Box, JF3 model code. The second generation is also covered by the JF4 model code, and that's the one with four-wheel drive. So this is a two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive JF3 model code. The N-Box has been a huge success for Honda in Japan, and it's still for sale over there today. We're now on the third generation, which is JF5 and JF6. Let's have a look around the exterior then, shall we? So we have LED lights all round, quite a cool multi-segment LED headlights on the dip beam. The indicators are up there and they're sequential, and then we have the side light coming round here like that. There's a radar sensor for the Honda Sensing system down there, and then there's a camera just up there. Honda Sensing includes automatic headlights, both switching on and off, and dip and main beam, and also adaptive cruise control. I think that's probably my favourite of the suite of features. Adaptive cruise control with variable distance to the car in front. Can't believe I'm saying this, but this one hasn't got monsoon shields. If you've seen a lot of my other videos, you'll know I comment on them every time. Pretty much every car has them, but this one doesn't. There you go. So these are the standard 15-inch alloy wheels that you get on the turbocharged models with 165/55 15 tyres. These are Goodyear tyres, plenty of tread left in them, and they're not that old either. The non-turbo ones have slightly different wheels, and they're 14-inch wheels with 155/65 14 tyres. So we have keyless entry and keyless start. When you lock the car, which you can do from the key like that, then you can also do it from the handle. So with the keys in your pocket, if you just go up to it, pull the handle like that, unlocks, and the mirrors unfold. I'll just open the door so it knows someone's got in, so it doesn't automatically lock again. We've got power sliding doors on both sides. Just demonstrate that. So again, you can either do them on the handle, on the key, or on the buttons by the steering wheel that we'll see when we have a look at the interior. So if I just press and hold, there we go. And press and hold again. Pulls in again like that. Privacy glass on all the rear windows, and the rear doors have also got sun blinds in them. I often forget to mention those, so yeah, you haven't managed to remember today. You can see all right with the sun. I'll try and come in a bit closer. LED lights all across the back as well. You see the fog light down there. This one's past the MOT, past the IVA, just waiting for the registration now. These sensors that you see at the back here, they're not actually parking sensors. They look like it, but they're proximity sensors. So other parts of the Honda sensing system include warning you when you've got a car right behind you. And that's what those sensors are for. We've got a reversing camera, I'm just showing you that there too. Those little squares are to indicate where to put your hand to open the boot. That gives a very good illustration of the difference that a bit of sun makes to the appearance of this paint. It looks absolutely lovely with the sun on it. Don't know whether any of you spotted it. I'll mention it in case you have and you think I haven't. There's a tiny little dent just there. That's going to be removed. I just the timings just haven't lined up for me to get that done before doing the video, but that won't be there in the coming weeks. Let's have a quick look under the bonnet. I'll just put the camera down while I open it. Which way do I stand to get my shadow out of the way? Like that maybe. Okay, here we go. So this is I'm not sure if I mentioned it at the start, I should have done. Anyway, this is a K car. That means its physical size and engine size and power are limited by Japanese government regulations. So this is a 658cc, 3-cylinder, 12-valve petrol engine, automatic transmission. We'll see that when we go inside. It's got a turbocharger, which is... you can kind of see it. It's kind of down there and behind that heat shield, electric wastegate just there. Before you scoff too much at the engine CC, do remember the weight of these, so that they weigh a lot less than a lot of cars on the UK market. So actually, I think the performance is pretty good and more than adequate for the type of car, for the shape of the car, etc., etc. This engine has got a timing chain, so no timing belt change intervals to worry about, as long as you keep on top of the oil changes, which are quite short for these engines with the turbo. They are every 5,000 kilometers or 6 months, and I would strongly encourage any owners of one of these to stick to that. It's a lot cheaper than having work done on the engine or the turbo. In terms of what I've done to prepare this car for sale, I've changed the engine oil filter, engine air filter, cabin filter, check the coolants up to spec in terms of it's protecting to a low enough temperature for UK winters. I've also done a transmission service, so changed the CVT fluid, genuine Honda fluid, and also changed the filter in the transmission pan too. This is probably a good time to mention, while we're just talking about work done on engines, that I have a parts supply arm to my business, if you like. So if you need any parts for your Japanese import car, either K car or otherwise, then head over to andrewsjapanesecars.com and you'll find a parts inquiry form on there where you can get in touch with me and inquire about any parts that you might need. So this one passed the MOT with no advisories. The IVA has been done as well. I think I mentioned that already. Just waiting for the DVLA to sort out the registration. Okay, let's put the bonnet down. Let's have a look at the inside then. I've turned it round slightly just to get the light a little bit better. So as we get in, we've got the emergency key slot there in case the battery has failed. The keys, you can see it just in there, have a little blade key that you can take out and use to open the doors if you've got no power to the car. Button there for locking, and as you've seen, you put your hand in there if you want to unlock the car, not using the remote key but actually on the handle itself. Okay, the doors open to a full 90 degrees. Makes it really easy to get in and out of. I'll still call them bench style seats, although that gives the impression that they haven't got kind of any individual sculpting, which they clearly have. So they've got these quite nice support pieces here, but you could still slide across from one to the other, which is really useful, especially with the lack of handbrake or down there or transmission tunnel. If you've parked with the driver's side right up against a wall, you can just slide across and get out the passenger side. Armrest to be shared with the front seat passenger. So the driver's seat is adjustable for height, kind of pump it up and down with that one, and then this one is to adjust the angle of the backrest as we're accustomed to. The steering wheel is also adjustable for height, not reach though, and that's fairly common with the K cars, as in they have adjustment for height but not for reach. Got a really nice set of factory Honda mats. Just put this piece of card on to try and stop me getting them all mucky. So these would be a standard option package that the dealer would sell you when you went to buy your N-Box brand new. Lots of storage options in the door here, cup holder there, a little bit of storage there, another bit there. Easy to mistake that for a handle, but it's not really strong enough for that, so that's the handle there. Window switches, rear electric window, switch off, locking, mirror controls there. More storage there. Speedometer's been converted into miles an hour. We've got a storage bin just there. I mentioned no handbrake, so the handbrake is that little pedal just at the back there. And then here are the switches for the rear power doors, start stop, fog light switch which I've added, and traction control off, lane keeping assist off, and collision avoidance braking off. There's some more of the Honda sensing features. You can see we've got an ETC card reader just there, quite nicely integrated into the dash. So the right hand stalk does the indicators, and auto headlights, front fog light controls there. And then the left hand one does the wipers with variable intermittent wipe, as you can see. Plenty of switches on the steering wheel, and the sun's picking up this sort of glittery deep brown trim, which when you describe it like that doesn't sound great, but I think it works very well. It's continued across there and then on the doors too. So cruise control on this side and navigation through the various different menu options, which I'll show you in a bit, and then radio controls on the left. Down here we have adjustable instrument lighting, and we can switch the Econ setting off. So Econ changes the programming characteristics of the gearbox control to prioritize fuel efficiency over acceleration. It also, if you switch it off, it also turns off the idle stop. So a leather steering wheel, or fake leather most probably. The seats, it's half this sort of Alcantara material and it looks like leather. I'm afraid it's not. Feels very nice, but yeah, it's not leather. And then this central stripe which continues through to the back seats. We'll see those in a little bit more detail shortly. So CVT automatic transmission. We have the flappy paddles, as with all the turbocharged N-boxes. They are, in my opinion, a little bit pointless because the CVT transmission, all CVT transmissions, well, not all, the vast majority of them don't have any actual gears at all. So this is giving you the option to pretend that you're shifting like you're driving, I don't know, a manual transmission car or an automatic car that does actually have gears, but they're just different points on the pulleys that the computer control selects for you. So yeah, a little bit pointless really. When I'm driving these cars, I don't really use them, but each to their own on that, I guess. Cup holder there, some more storage down there, more storage under there, a whole huge shelf of storage just there, and then this one comes with a good range of books, as you can see in there in the glove box. I'll just start up, so foot on the brake, press the button. That noise is to remind you to put your seatbelt on. I'll tell you a little bit more about this display screen. Now the text on this display screen is in Japanese, and as far as I'm aware it will remain so. I haven't found a way of changing it to English. It's fairly easy to work out what it's telling you though. So at the top we have the range left until we run out of fuel. Below that we have the average fuel consumption for trip meter A, and there's also a trip meter B as well. That isn't what you'd actually get out of this car. You get more like 15 to 20 depending on how you drive. That's not a guarantee, by the way. If you really boot it you could probably get less, I'm sure, but this has just been moved around and about, not really driven much since it was reset, which is why it's not showing a particularly promising figure at the moment. Below that, the bar graph then, that's showing us our instant, or as we're driving, fuel consumption. And then we've got temperature, distance covered in this trip meter, and we can switch between A and B with a button on the steering wheel. And then the current odometer reading, 39,105 kilometers. If I cycle through using the steering wheel button, we can have average speed and driving time. Compass. This one's quite interesting. This is a sign recognition thing. So I suppose I have to caveat this and say it was only ever really designed for use in Japan, but it does seem to be able to manage to read a lot of UK speed limit signs. So when it's red one, that will come up there, and it also comes up in the corner on this screen when you're driving as well. Distance until we need another oil change. Time and date. And access to the menu via there, and then you can just switch everything off as well. Back to the top. I'll just illustrate one of the other things I mentioned before. Is that when you're in reverse, it will show you, and actually when you carry on then into drive and you're manoeuvring, it will show you where the wheels are, as in whether they're turned all the way over to the left or the right. That switches off once your speed gets above a certain point, but it's quite an interesting little feature just to assist with manoeuvring, I guess. And you'll see we've got a reversing camera just there. Got some different views on the camera, so we can have a long way, a bit closer in, and then we can have looking straight down at the bumper. I usually prefer that one, but again, each to their own on that. Actually, I'll put it in neutral, put the handbrake on, and that just moves the shifter out of the way of this, so I can show you this a little bit more. So both of the front seats are heated. So we've got two levels of heat, either full or half, like that. Nice thing to have, especially with the vinyl or leather, because that can feel a little bit cold on really cold days, so really good to have that available. Got the demist settings over here. So for the rear, that's the standard filaments in the glass, warming it up slightly to get rid of the mist. That one just puts everything on, everything blowing on the windscreen, turns the AC on as well. You can hear and see on the little bar graph there, it just ramping up. If you want everything to be automatic, you just press auto, and then you can set the temperature using the dial like that. And that will turn the AC on and off automatically, and it will also direct the air automatically. So if your set temperature is hotter than the car currently is, you'll get the warm air coming to your feet, as we have at the moment. And if your set temperature is cooler than the car currently is, then you'll have the air coming out of the face level vents. I suppose the old hot air rises and cold air falls theory is what they're aiming at with that. If you want manual control, so if we go from a position of everything being off, then you can have that too. So you can just turn the fan on like that, and direct where you want the airflow, adjust the temperature, and you can also choose whether to have the AC on or off. So the AC is off now. If we wanted it back on, we could do that. Note though that the AC indicator lamp doesn't come on at all when you've got the settings on auto, but that doesn't mean that the AC isn't on. Recirculation setting there, and then you can adjust the fan speed manually yourself like that. And just down there we've got our USB charging ports under these little flaps, which are quite hard to get open initially, but the hinges just stay open once you've opened them once. They don't flop closed again. Let's have a look in the back. I've had to move location, which you will no doubt be able to spot. So the power doors are on, pull the handle like that, and away we go. It's really nice. Don't know what you describe that as. Dotted, checkered, not quite either of those. Dashed pattern on the mats. So, full rear seats. The headrests go up to a decent height, just like that. Put that down again if I can. Armrests come out there. ISOFIX points on both sides. Cup holders and speakers for each rear seat passenger. I think one thing that's really striking, and that is with the seat in the position where I would have it for driving, I'm 6 feet tall, is the amount of leg room in the back of these cars. Everyone comments on it, and that is because it is amazing. For a car of its size, and even actually for much bigger cars, it's got it compares exceptionally well. The leg room is superb. I'll see if I can illustrate that. So there you go, that's me sitting back in the seat, and that's how much space I've got to the seat in front. Now these seats are movable. I used to say that's a difference from the first generation, but the later first generation cars, as you'll notice if you've been paying close attention, do have this function too. So we pull that and then just lock it and slide forward like that. So that gives you an idea of the full range of adjustment with the rear seats. While I've seen them, and before I forget to mention them, just show you the sun blinds. Clip in like that. So coming around to the boot, please excuse my cleaning items there, that's the difference, gives you an idea of the difference it makes to the boot space with having the seats in those two positions. What's also quite nice is that you can adjust the seat sliding from within the boot by pulling this and sliding it back in like that, and when it engages you just see that locks into place there. Just go round to the side again. So the seats fold up like that. I'll leave one down so you get an idea of the difference, giving you a really useful amount of space if you want to load something in from the side door rather than from the rear door. And then they also go, using that tab there, they also drop down completely flat like that. So if we just put both of them down, I'll give you an idea of how much space you get if you put both seats flat. And then obviously you can get a bit more still if you put these seats forward, but you may not have a choice to do that depending on how long your legs are. 3 kilo weight limit bag hook there, and then various little storage pockets in the backs of the seats. So to answer the question, could you sleep in it? I'm afraid to say I think the answer is probably no with one of these. You could take that out like that, and then you could put this seat back. You need to bring it forward a little bit to do that. So you could do that. And that gives you a reasonable amount of space, but for someone of my height, that isn't quite long enough to lie on. And of course, if you put those seats flat to the floor, like I showed you before, then that will stop this one going as flat as it is. So that'll mean you have even more of a step to sit on. So you could sort of lounge out in one of these like that. I'm not going to do that today because my shoes are mucky and I've just cleaned this car. But you could you could do that, but not a proper bed setup, I'm afraid to say. I don't think with these. All right, that brings us pretty much to the end of this video. Thanks very much for joining me. If you are so taken with this car that you would like to buy it, then obviously I would love to sell it to you. My contact details are in the description of this video, so please do get in touch if you have any more questions about it, or if you would like to arrange to come and have a look at it. So I hope you enjoyed being shown around this 2020 Honda N-Box Custom GL Turbo Honda Sensing. That's a long title, isn't it? If you have any thumbs up, likes, comments, channel subscriptions would be most welcome. So thank you once again for joining me. I'll look forward to seeing you again for the next one. Bye for now.